Patris, I just saw you pop in here. Hello. So I joined ATD in 2002 when I got my first job in the training world, and I signed up to have a mentor. And Gretchen was assigned to me as a mentor in 2002, and I'm just so grateful and thankful that, gosh, our paths have continued to cross. And watching you grow in your company, but it's so amazing. 18 years ago, when I was fresh to the training world, and here you are attending a session that I idolized you and I still do, and it's just amazing to see you pop in. So anyway, I saw your name and I was like, oh my gosh. So awesome, awesome. Good morning, everyone. So thank you so much, and welcome to Employee Learning Week with ATD. So today's session, we are going fast and furious, but I think that you will like and be able to learn some new tips and tricks that you can add into your virtual training sessions, your virtual meetings. All 6 of them might not be appropriate for every situation that you're in virtually, but I have a feeling that at least 2 or 3 of them you can actually click on and start doing immediately. Like so many of you, our world went completely virtual in March, and I have been consistently teaching online exclusively remotely with Metropolitan Community College since March 9th. We were in the 2nd week of our term, and we had to adapt and we had to adjust. And I made it my mission to figure out how can I create interactive sessions where my students weren't just going to turn off their camera and not participate and not be involved. And so I had to start researching ways to maximize our premium Zoom subscription that Metro gave us, and look out for some tips and look out for some resources that were free to use during these times. And so today, the big tools we're going to talk about Zoom, and how just using even some of the tools that you are already familiar with, how you can maximize that in your virtual settings. And then we're going to talk about another tool named Kahoot. Sometimes there's going to be some pieces of that might be beneficial to spark some engagement and spark some participation. And not only are you going to hear me talk about this kind of stuff, you're going to be kind of like my students in my Metro classes. You are going to be doing these functions and activities, because why would you just want to hear about it when you can actually do it? So we're going to do all sorts of stuff here together in this next hour. So let us get started. We saw that. So I want to start off with an agenda, which clearly you know what, we are in a time of change and adaptability. So we're just going to roll with what we can get. But we're going to come back to the agenda here in a little bit. But I do want to point out some things about an agenda that sometimes go overlooked. If you can, especially in virtual meetings, if you can keep your agenda to question-oriented ways, you will find that your participants will be more inclined to be invested in that time. So instead of saying, item 1, maximize my meeting time, how can I maximize my meeting time? Because now you have made this personal to them, where they're going to be, how can we raise employee morale? Instead of just saying employee morale as your topic. Item 2, instead of saying Zoom features and resources, what Zoom features and resources can I utilize to make my meetings have a bigger impact? So this is how I like to structure my meetings. This is how I structure my class times with my actual career and college and career strategy students. I list what we're going to do, and then I list a time frame. And this also does another thing. If we get off track or sidetracked or sidebarred, I can say, all right, guys, I want to respect your time. Let's come back to the agenda. And if we have any time at the left of our session, we can talk about that. We're going to table it. But when you start and create your agenda using questions, this internalizes what's in it for me to your participants. And that has worked pretty well for my students. I also like to give time for check-in, and my students know that I am always logged in. We've got a few folks here in the waiting room. My students know that I will log in 10 minutes prior to the session. So if there's any housekeeping issues, if they have any questions, or if they just want to, hey, Paula, how's it going? Let's chit chat. It lets them know that it's not necessary. They're not a burden. It's built in there. And if you want to help build some team morale or team spirit, people can come at 11 o'clock, but they also have that option to know that waiting room is open and the host is going to let people in 10 minutes early, so you can have that kind of team building and camaraderie. So let us move. Come on. I see it. Where are we? No. Adaptability. I like to use Prezi, and Prezi sometimes doesn't like to let me use it. All right, so I have a contest today, and we'll talk about this later. But ATD has graciously offered me the opportunity to lend this book, or not lend it, to give this book to someone who is going to be able to find throughout our presentation. We have a little friend joining us, Waldo, if you guys recognize him, or I guess the new age term, people call him Wally. But if you can count how many Wallies, and this counts for the beginning of our presentation when we started, so if you had to really pay some close attention, but we're going to see at the end, how many times does Wally or Waldo appear throughout our presentation? And the person that gets closest to how many times he is there is going to win this Focus on Them book that ATD has donated for this session. So be on the lookout for Wally throughout the presentation. So here are the strategies. I uploaded them to the chat box. Is everyone able to see the chat box? What if you were the one that gets off agenda asking for a friend? Then you are going to want to print that agenda out or handwrite that agenda in front of you and keep yourself focused and build yourself a big check-in time. Build yourself time at the end of that session so that you can talk and chat, but table your own ideas and catch yourself doing it. Because if you catch yourself going off topic, oh gosh, you know what? I'm tabling myself right now, and we'll come back to that later. There is this document right here because these are going to be the 6 main strategies that I want us to promote for today. And so this is going to kind of be our focus, and it is in the chat box. All righty. So what I'm going to ask you to do is use the chat box, and I want you to think of what goals do you have for meetings that you are leading? And it doesn't have to be anything lengthy, it doesn't have to be a novel, but I want you to go into your chat. You can use Alt-H as a quick way to get there, or you can click on More and go on to chat. But I want you to write 1 to 2 responses for goals that you have for meetings that you are leading. See it lighten up. Thank you, guys. Interactive and impactful sessions. All right, increase participation, keeping them engaging and motivating people to be interactive. For Darcy, you said your goal is to have an interactive and impactful session. Do you feel like you are doing this right now?
You know, I think in some classes we are. I think we could get better in some other classes. My content that I help with is we do everything from new hires, pretty good, to the folks that have, been a long time seasoned folks that we're working with L&D. And so figuring out ways to get them engaged and more interactive and not just sitting there for an hour doing, hopefully learning something, but
yeah.
Getting them to be more interactive so I know that they're actually getting something out of it.
Okay. Katie, for participation, is that something that you're noticing happening, or is that something you're noticing that has been lagging a little bit? Katie Sass?
Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted me to type back or answer back, but
oh no, I'd love to hear you answer back.
With going to more virtual, I feel like participation has gone down, but it's something that we want more of.
And so with this method right here, because realistically, you can't go around to each and every individual and ask them a question. But what you can do is say, okay, I want everyone to write in the chat box and give us an answer. And as the instructor or as the moderator of that meeting, then you can go back in and pick 1 or 2 that you can call specifically on and ask them for clarification. And that way, everyone gets a chance to share their ideas. It's not just the 1 or 2 people that vocalize, because it is uncomfortable to come in there and speak up all the time, especially when it's kind of crickets when you ask for someone to answer a question. But using this chat box, it gives everyone the chance to share their ideas. And although you as the meeting moderator or the session trainer, you're not going to ask each person has the ability to go into the chat responses themselves and see what their peers are saying or what their coworkers are saying. And then as the facilitator, picking one or two that really jump out as you as the main points and asking those people to clarify. And people that are being asked questions to clarify, they should feel confident because it's their specific answer that you're asking them to build understanding on. But this method right here, one, you can verify that participation is happening. If you're teaching a course in school where attendance is and participation are required, you have actual access to look at names and verify this person participated, this person contributed. But this way we see how our peers or our meeting or our coworkers are feeling, and then we have a bit of a chat and conversation about that, and then we can move on ahead. So thank you for doing that. A couple other things about the chat box that I want to show and tell you about. Even something as simple as a yes or no will get them engaged, will get them physically using their kinesthetic learning style and physically doing something besides putting themselves on video off and mute, but getting them to physically come in and type, hey, can everyone hear me? Or give me an emoji or give me a hand up if you hear me. I want to make sure I get everyone participating, so let me see those hands or type in the chat box. But again, it's encouraging them to physically do something to get that engagement and to get that participation. And it holds them accountable for their attendance. Like I said earlier, I use this as a method to guarantee my students are participating because I can just copy and paste their names into my course content and make sure that each name is accounted for. And if I don't see someone's name on there, sometimes I will say, hey, Omar, I didn't get your response. Are you still typing? And usually that will be like, oh gosh, she's actually paying attention. And Omar will get back on there and write in an answer. Again, if you have large groups of people, that might be a problem. But if your groups are 5 to 7 folks, you can probably tell 1 or 2 people if they haven't contributed and just say, hey, is your technology not working? I mean, gosh, you can blame it on technology right now. Is our connection not good? I really want to see what your ideas are and encourage people to participate in that capacity. The next thing is I want to kind of go back a little bit. I wanted to show you the agenda just to kind of immerse you into what we're doing. But here are just a few updates on the agenda strategy. If you build that time, your people are encouraged to come in and connect, and they're not connecting on company time, or they're not connecting on when we're supposed to be having this regimented meeting from 11 to 12, but it allows them, how was your weekend? How are the kids? How's your animal? Anything fun go on? But again, giving your people that chance, it shows that you are building in an opportunity for them to come in and connect with one another. And those that want to choose to do it can, those that want to don't have to. Keeping your agenda question oriented, as we talked about earlier, it gets them that what's in it for me? How can I relate this content to me? And when you teach, you want your students to be able to relate that content to themselves. Why is clocking in on time important? Instead of just saying clocking in, or how to request time off, or requesting time off can be, how do I request time off? Now it's personal to me. It's not this ambiguous topic that's out there. It's something that I can relate to and that I'm going to be more invested in to try to hear what that answer is. If you can, another thing about the agenda, if you are able to pass that agenda out before the meeting, that will also encourage and engage people prior to attending, because they have in their mind, it's kind of like pre-work for those of you in training. When you send out pre-work or an article ahead of time, they are at least vaguely aware of some of the terms that you're going to bring up. If you send out an agenda ahead of time, they are going to be vaguely aware of the topics that you plan on discussing in that meeting, and you can stick to your goals a lot better because people come a little bit more mentally prepared when they know what to plan for. So this was my before agenda. And as I was thinking, so, okay, and I kind of flopped items 1 and 2, but back in my initial planning stages for this was going to be what I was going to throw out as my agenda. Here's what we're doing: item 1, item 2, item 3. And then you can see how it evolved into this process. And again, this will take a little bit more time, but I think more time on the back end is going to make a more productive session on the front end. You can just see here the difference between these 2 items. Yes, there's a lot of stuff on your agenda, but this is going to keep people focused. This is going to keep people thinking, I have goals for each segment of what we're supposed to be talking about with each other. And it's going to keep people just engaged and knowing what the next thing is. When we have that roadmap set out ahead of us, and then again, you put them into question format, they internalize how I can benefit from the time that we're spending together. What do you guys think about the differences between Agenda 1 and Agenda 2? And if you want to type it in the chat box, that's fine. If a couple of you want to verbalize an answer.
This is Sherry. I think one thing that I like best about this is that it is a tool to keep people on track. So if someone is taking the conversation in a direction that, isn't where it's supposed to be headed, or things start, snowballing, I liked your example of how you can tie it back to this to keep us on track.
Very good. Thank you, Sherry. Got some folks sharing in the chat box. Let's see what's happening over here. Good. Let's see. Never thought about the question to seek an answer. Awesome. Let's see. Thanks for inadvertently. The title of your ebook. Oh, wow. It can keep class and me on track. Yes. I just think that there's so much into the time thing. And when you think of how many meetings that you have, how many meetings do you leave actually having a productive goal accomplished, and you feel like there was a good use of your time in that meeting? Sometimes we have meetings for the sake of having meetings. With this, you might even find that you can reward your participants by, you know what, I slotted a slot of an hour. I think we can get all this stuff done in 30 minutes, and I will respect your time, and I'm going to give you back the gift of time. So if we can get through these objectives and this agenda, we can get done in 30 minutes, and you can have that rest of your 30 minutes to work on other work goals for yourself. So people also feel like, ooh, I'm getting something extra. And again, it just takes a little extra planning on the part of the person leading the session. But if you map out ahead of time what the goals are for that session and what you want to stick to, you really can maximize people's time while they're at home to be more productive and not just have a meeting for the sake of having a meeting. Let's see, the having an action. How can I? What can I? Yep, and Jill, that's all about bringing it back to them and why this is personal to me. I'm gonna listen more, and I'm gonna care more. Assigns. Oh, okay. So Gretchen, you like to assign someone to keep him on track. We've got 5 minutes. How does that work for you, Gretchen?
It works really well because typically in a group you can find someone who's clock motivated. So I just let them monitor it and say, hey, give me a 1 minute warning or verbalize where we're at. And that way they can keep track of it.
Okay, that's great. And it works, and it's a win-win for you because now you're not having to keep track of the time, and the person's going to come in and be like, oh, Gretchen, let's move on. Sticking to the calendar, sticking to the agenda. Let's see. It will get participants thinking, yes. Do you think that it's in the realm of possibility for some of you to get an agenda out prior to the meeting so that they can see what your goals are for your time spent? Is that realistic for some of you? A little bit? Okay, good.
I typically will send out an agenda with all of the, we use WebEx today, the training center portion. So we always send them the information with an agenda attached. I do like the question that you just mentioned. I'm going to try that and see if that sparks a little bit more conversation in our training sessions, but
good.
It helps.
Awesome. Very good. All right. Well, thank you. Oh, let's see. I got one more chat I'm going to go take a look at. We strongly encourage it. Some of our leaders will not accept a meeting without an agenda. Okay. I mean, that's amazing. So again, it gives you a purpose. It gives you a sense of what we're here for. And if you get done early, bonus points. You've just been one of the best meeting agenda holders ever because you've given them back some extra time. I wish I could like that note verbatim. Awesome, awesome. Thank you. All righty, moving along. So who in here has used Zoom's whiteboard? Okay, I have a Carol, I have a Darcy. Angie has. Okay, I got a chat person over here. Let's see, some folks are, nope. Okay, well, I'm going to be leading this from the host perspective, but, oh, good, we've got Streamline. See, look at that. You guys are you are model. Can you guys come be students in my classes, please? This is awesome. I'm like, woohoo, getting excited about all these people responding. So not used whiteboard. Well, what's Mural, Gretchen?
Similar, it's a whiteboard platform that you can sign up for, nominal fee, but it's like Post-it notes on a wall. So people can participate, brainstorm, organize thoughts. So
Okay.
similar.
Cool. So you leave the Zoom leave the Zoom platform and head into a different app?
I've used it in combination with a breakout room.
Okay.
So send groups to a breakout room and give them the Mural address to go to.
Ah, okay. Is that the website, mural.com?
It is.
Okay. Hey, thank you.
I'll look it up and put it in chat.
That would be fantastic. Thank you. What's Trello, Carol?
So we use Trello and Rotary for it helps set up the pre-work that people are going to do, and you can integrate videos. And so a lot of times it's the stuff we do ahead of time before kind of live action on Zoom. But it's just, and you can use like your Bitmoji, and so I can incorporate video and little video clips and welcome people, and they come and it can be personalized. If this is your role, click here. Here are the things that you need to do, and you click on it and it gives you your virtual or your online training through another platform that is called a Learning Center at Rotary. It's really very cool. I can't set it up because I don't want to, but because that's like way too much detail, but we have someone who does that at Rotary, and it's just the funnest thing. I mean, it's so engaging for pre-work rather than here, click on this link and do what it says. It's got, it's got me saying, hey, here's what you got to do. And
so they're getting the visual, they're getting the verbal, and then they're getting the actual kinesthetic learning piece by actually doing it then. Okay, they're not just reading it and having to do something. They're getting all those different sensories.
And you can really, personalize it with that video, right?
Absolutely. Very cool. We are going to table some of these ideas because I would love to be able to get into everyone's. I want to have some time to go through whiteboard right now. And if we have time at the end of the session, or if you have websites that you use that are similar to giving students what we're going to be doing with whiteboard, kind of like what we've heard so far, feel free to share those links, because I think the more resources we familiarize ourselves with, the better that we can be in our online platforms. So feel free to throw some websites in the chat box, and other people can take some time to explore those. And if we have time at the end, I'll definitely give you the chance to talk about those. I think that's fantastic. We are going to zip into whiteboard, and you are all going to create an answer in whiteboard. So first, before we get that set up, this is how I do with my students. I will tell them, all right, so we're going to jump into whiteboard, and what I want you to think about is what's one thing you'd like to change about the way in virtual meetings happen present day. So what then we'll do is, if it's for a large class, I'll say, all right, so we're not on the actual whiteboard yet. We are still just in my slide. We'll flip over here to whiteboard in a moment. But I'll say, all right, if it's a large group, if it's not a large group, I just let people kind of go to town and respond with their answers. But we will go to a wall where I will create something similar to this, and then they can start typing their answers. And you'll see that your Zoom will allow you to do this here in just a moment. It might need some walking through, but we will get there. So as a reminder, the question that we're going to be looking for is, what is one thing you'd like to change about the way in which virtual meetings happen present day? So you might be saying to yourself, well, I could use the chat box for this. Sure, but this is just another way and another visual way that we can see everyone's thoughts brainstorming at the same time. You also can use this feature if you want to say, all right, let's come up with the next idea for an employee engagement tool, and everyone puts up what their ideas are. You can see everyone at the same time, ideas all there, and sometimes seeing them in one big space versus the chat box, it's just a different way to do something. So I'm going to go, for me, who I'm hosting, I have to go to new share, and then I go to whiteboard. So that will bring us into this tool. And a lot of times with students, I am doing this as they are participating. So what I mean by that is I want to create that box so that we have our different So I have a little work tool here that has a text, a draw, a stamp, and they have different symbols I can throw up here if I want. I have an undo so I can take it away. When you're in your own Zoom, and I would encourage you to just create your own meeting by yourself and then go in and go to new share and then share whiteboard and create this yourself. Play around in this. I don't mind doing things live because I tell my students, none of us are perfect. We all are here. And the more imperfect you are, it seems like the better people can connect with you, which is one of the reasons, kind of sidebarring, I like to keep, we all have an office at work and our offices have now drastically transformed. Just like some of you, I see some beautiful Christmas decorations in the background. Bobby, I see a plant that you're sitting next to. It's just kind of cool to see that we are relatable people, that we are not these stiff former coworkers that would come in and sit prim and proper and wait for the meeting to start. But these kinds of things give people that relatable feeling that we're not getting because we're not face to face. We're not getting the body language. We're not getting the eye contact. So some of you might think about, well, what's the most professional space I can sit in to lead this meeting? And I will be honest with you, I did think about, well, should I come and should I be in a place where it's a strictly white wall? And I thought, you know what? I want to be relatable to my audience. I want to be able to connect. So, I mean, my 7-year-old drew all these pictures. I got a family photo going on, but it's just a way to be unable to connect. And it could be a talking point. I know that when Angie signed on earlier, she was the first one in here to kind of chat with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, your Christmas decorations are beautiful. And it was just a way for us to connect on something not business related. So with whiteboard, I don't set up my whiteboard ahead of time. I usually do this with my students as they watch me, and I can just whip up something real quick. Sometimes I'll use text, so I'll just write here with them A through E, and they see it pop up as I'm doing it. No big deal, and I'll tell them, all right, F through, I don't remember what my letters were, but we'll just kind of improvise right here. N through P, and we'll say N through P, and then what comes after P, elemental PQ through, we'll say Z. So if your last name is in one of these boxes, I would like you to find the ability, everyone should have the ability, unless you're signing in from a phone or if you're on a computer, this typically works. Sometimes laptops don't work and sometimes phones do not work. But if you are in my whiteboard right now, you all have the ability to respond and write your own answer on here. Does anyone see how they do that? So good, someone just put a heart on there. And oh good, Angie is throwing up. We don't actually even have, okay, so you want to have interactive. If you want to answer the question, that's fine. If you want to just pop in and just practice typing in here, that's fine as well. Do we have the ability if we only have a free account? I believe, yes. Before I got Zoom Premium, Whiteboard was available. So I move around my home throughout the day based on the assets. I've had activities where I have asked students to watch a video on a documentary or a small TED Talk and say, draw me an image of what comes to your mind, or give me a visual cue of something you're feeling. And it's creative. It's just a different way. And you can change the colors. As the facilitator, I can click on a tool called Select, and I can go in and move these things around. So if people are writing over each other, then you see how they're moving right now. I'm going in and I'm moving the information that people threw in here. So as I see this being built, I can decide to go in and use my Select tool and move and relocate items so that they're not falling on top of each other. Hello from Lincoln. Hello. Someone did a handwriting. So Nancy, thank you. I love the different colors on here. And again, this is just giving you utilizing different senses. It's just something different that we're not used to on a regular basis when you're in a meeting or when you're in a classroom. It's different, it's bright, it's colorful, it's us contributing, and it's us contributing in a way that we're doing it together. Let's take a look at the chat. When I have a small group, I assign them each a color. Oh, that's awesome. That's a great way to, again, for some team unity there going on. I'm not sure how to activate on whiteboard. Can someone, because I can only see it from my end as the host, can someone walk Jay where he might find that at?
Yep, this is Debbie. I'm walking him. I'm talking to him.
Oh, thank you. And I like this because you don't need another tool. You don't need to leave. I like the fact where Gretchen had mentioned when she puts people in breakout rooms, then she can send them the mural link and then they can build this together, because this is not something that they can do in a breakout room. They would have to collect their ideas together, someone document them, and then come back and we'd have to share them in a group. So I like her option for if you are wanting groups to do work individually and then share them. But for someone, when you're saying, okay, just really forgot the question. Smiley faces, this is great, but just seeing the screen itself, it's just a fun, different visual than what we're used to. Let's see, I didn't know the host can move. Yep, yeah, the host can move people's comments around. And this is why I really encourage you to open up your own Zoom, start a meeting just with yourself, go to share, and then go to whiteboard and practice using the tools. Because you can, the eraser thing is if someone does put something inappropriate on there, there's a heart in the top right quadrant. I can just go in and I can erase it, boom, it's gone. Or if a student's like, oh, I made a mistake, or if I want to just delete that little guy next to the smiley face, I can do that. So you have some moderator tips and tricks in there that you can do. But the best advice I can give is to practice this on your own. Using the select tool, you can take away any phrases or words that go over each other, and you can move them just so that you can tell who belongs to what, and you can see all the difference. So like there's a lot of stars covering this pink guy over here. So I might want to do a little movement on here so we can see and not have the stars impact the quality of the message. But go in, practice doing the draw feature. There's tools on here where you can make boxes and say, okay, this group over here, do that. And then you can change the colors. So we can, throw different tools. I can undo things. So boom, my last 2 items have been undone. But the best way to get most efficient with this is going to be practice. Thank you, Debbie, for putting that quick article for some Zoom tools. I like the annotate tools outside of the whiteboard too. If a document is shown, participants can use the annotate tools to highlight different parts of the document. Fantastic. Where do you find that at, Debbie? Daria. Debbie? I think Debbie said that.
I think that was Sherry.
Or Sherry, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I just do it when I share my screen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, I have I teach at Metro also, so I do this at Metro a lot. I'll pull something up, especially if I think they're not engaging. I'll pull something up, or if I think they're multitasking or whatever, and I'll tell them, hey, go here, and I want you to put a question mark next to something you have a question on, exclamation, whatever I want them to do. But that's kind of cool too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, neat. So do you get to that through the share screen option? Let's see.
I think so, unless I'm thinking of a different tool. I thought it was in Zoom.
Yeah, I've used it just if you had a PowerPoint and you had a blank slide, everyone has the access to the annotate tool. So
if I'm back on here, are you able to go in and do anything on my screen in here?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh. How are you able to do that? Do I That's crazy. Did I have to give you abilities to do that, or
no, we just open up our annotate, go to your Saint.
That could be scary to just. Okay. Oh, here I see the annotate button. Oh my gosh, I love learning new stuff too. Okay, so annotate.
Oh, yeah.
So how do I turn off annotate so I don't have all this stuff on my screen?
Oh, I think you can still
drawings.
go. Yeah, I think you can still clear them all.
Like the clear.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, annotate and then clear all drawings. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I do have a sense of control here going on.
Yes, the little trash can will clear it off of there.
That is fantastic to know that, because then I don't even have to use the whiteboard in this specific instance. I could have you go in and fill in your information right here from my Prezi screen. Yep, there goes a star right there. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love learning so much. It's so nice to see engaged adults.
Yeah, well, it's good for meetings, like too, for my full-time job, it's good for meetings as well. If anybody, you know, highlights certain things, or, hey, can you do this on this one? Or it's a voting tool too. Like, can you put a star next to which option you think we should go with? That type of thing too.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Right now, we actually have multiple screens being shared. I don't know if everybody can see that.
Oh,
multiple.
Okay,
screens.
I think I said multiple.
Okay. Was shared, and Pam's screen shared, and your screen was shared, Paula.
All right, let's get back to. Oh, I know what's going on. Because I have multiple people can share. Because I was having Debbie earlier. Okay, let's get. There we go. Thank you for saying that. All right, we still need to get into Kahoot and talk about some of the functionality of Kahoot. Oh, before we jump into Kahoot, there's another strategy, themes. This is another way that you can possibly build some camaraderie or build some excitement with your team from a distance. You know, everyone wears blue, or wear your ugly Christmas sweater. Just a way that might say, okay, on Monday's meeting at 10 a.m., I want everyone to come with their favorite coffee mug, and everyone can, greet the meeting holding up their favorite coffee mugs, but just something that would be a way to create or generate a little bit of excitement. Here is just some ideas that popped into my mind. Everyone wears a certain color. Today's beach day. Floral shirt day, bring your pet to work day, where your pet's sitting next to you for a moment, or you showcase your Fido to the screen. But again, just another way to build some excitement, or some other ways to get the group kind of a little bit just recentered and thinking, okay, we're coworkers, we're teammates, we're not just these distance people who are all working in our own homes. But themes can really do a great job of generating some creativity and getting folks excited, or at least looking forward to a change of pace. Now, this isn't going to work for every single meeting, but there are going to be times where you can be like, all right, it's Friday, it's 2 o'clock, we're spicing it up a little bit and do that. And that might be something, and you can be as creative as you need to be, but it's just another strategy you can use to get people excited and looking forward to your session. And this stage strategy 5, gamification. The one I'm doing right now with you guys is, anytime you see Wally or Waldo, count them up. And at the end, I'm going to see who can come closest to counting how many Waldos has been throughout our entire presentation. You can also say, all right, this session, we are going to collect quotes from attendees throughout the meeting and have a who said this quiz at the end. And the person that gets the most might get a company notepad, or a company stationery, or a pen, or a cozy, or a koozie, or a squeezy, or something that you just can, something minimal, or whatever the case is. But this way, if people love competition and people love the thrill of trying to win out, they're going to pay attention more. And it might be a little gimmicky to try, but if maybe it's your corporate logo, every time you see our corporate logo fly across the screen, count that up. Or if you're someone who typically has very strong presentations and they want to count up how many times there's incorrect spellings throughout, but something that's going to get them looking, it seems silly, but it gives someone a purpose to pay attention and to keep their face, instead of being on their cell phone here texting while I'm supposed to be in my company meeting, I'm paying attention to what's going on because I want to win whatever prize that you're distributing. So it's something that you can do that's simple, it's free, as far as implementing into a presentation or into a session, and it will get people's attention. So it's another option that you can look into. And I do want to roll into Kahoot. So Kahoot, I'm going to have you all go in a moment too, but we're going to try 4 different options that Kahoot has to offer, and you are going to participate in those 4 different options. We're going to look at polls, and we'll talk about the benefits of doing polls in a session. Again, getting people hands-on involved. You can use your cell phone, you can use your computer that you're on with your Zoom, but this Kahoot, and it's a free service. It's the things that we're going to be doing today, these 4 questions or 5 questions I have for you, are all free, that you can use with an account that you create that does not cost any money. So we're going to roll into it, but I do suggest, you're going to play right now with us, and then I do suggest, if you want to explore the options of Kahoot, go in and create a user account and create some quizzes or some questions and then practice them and see if they work. I usually use my kids as my guinea pigs to be like, all right, you're going to be really bored by the content, but we're going to see if this works. And then we go in and we practice it together. But we're going to focus on polls, quizzes, open-ended questions, and word clouds. So what I'd like you to do is to please go to kahoot.it. And again, you can use your phone, you can use your computer, you can use a tablet, any device that can get you to kahoot.it. You are not going to be registering for a Kahoot account. And that's one of the cool things about this site. You can participate and play, but you do not have to be a subscriber to Kahoot, because what I'm going to give you is a code that you will use here to access the game. If I buy a Kahoot license, is it shareable with my manager or teams? There are group options on there when you go to purchase. If you want to do Kahoot Premium, that you can go to, that will be a group account, or so that is an option. For your participants that you want to create a Kahoot for, you have to have an account, but they just have to go to kahoot.it. So I'm going to leave here and go to my Kahoot so I can get this game started. Let's see, let me see if there's a question here before I roll in. I see a chat. Question. Oh, okay. You can share the account, make folders too.
That's a great idea.
Okay, okay, that is correct. You still, for the free account, right now, Kahoot is free premium, and you can create a private folder. So again, you're right though about licensed information. If that is an issue, that could be problematic. If this is something that you're holding a meeting that's not company sensitive information, so if you would go to your kahoot.it, and this is your game pin, 9074425. Then we'll get started on here. So this is just going to be a sample of some of the different questions so that you can get a feel for how you might be able to use these particular questions and styles for your sessions. Sometimes some of them won't ever apply to you. It doesn't make sense, but there are some instances where asking a certain question at the start of a meeting will get your participants physically doing something on their phone. You can have a meeting, maybe it's about new company policies and you want to make sure they got what you said and turn it into a quiz and make it a competition. Again, a little bit of gamification. But some of these like open-ended questions promote some brainstorming, and word clouds present some options for people to share their ideas in a way that they don't have to speak up, but they're still getting a voice. So I'm going to get started. It looks like we have 23 people here, but there's 19. I'm going to get started because another cool thing about Kahoot is, I'm going to turn off the music. You can mute yourself so you don't have to hear the lobby music. Another cool thing about Kahoot is if someone isn't able to log in with everyone else, this PIN code will stay at the bottom of the screen so that people can log in late and they can still participate from the question they left off that they weren't available for. So. And let me see, I have a chat question started. Learn that the hard way. All right, let's get started on our, I think there's 6 questions I built on here. All right, so on average, what percentage of your current meetings do you leave feeling a sense of engagement? And for this, you know, any kind of question you can think of that you want to pop in there. The cool thing about using the quiz format is you can do single answers Or if you want to gauge, if people have 2 answers, they might think, or of these 4 qualities, you might be able to select 2 answers. Which ones apply to you? So you can create a quiz question that just has 1 answer, or you can do a multi-select answer option if you're trying to gauge people's opinions. So for this particular one, I only gave a one single select answer, but with quiz, you can also on Kahoot do up to 2 or 3 answers. Select all that describe you today, and you can click multiple answers, but I set this one for answering 1. So that is pretty, 6 or 75% down has just, so we can do better in our meetings. We can definitely have some room for improvement. This is all such a new timing with virtual meetings and working remotely, so we're all learning. Here's another quiz option. A visual presentation such as a PowerPoint, Prezi, or Google slide can increase engagement up to what percentage? So it's actually 94% potential increase of engagement. Think about some of the meetings you might have attended where it's just people's faces. They're not sharing presentations. They're not sharing images. It's just someone talking or someone asking other people to share. You create a PowerPoint, or even if you just have a slide that just shows the agenda only, you are at least increasing engagement because they are seeing something. You don't just want someone's auditory learning style stimulated. You want to try to stimulate their visual learning style, their verbal linguistic learning style. You want to stimulate their kinesthetic learning style, which is what we're doing right now with you participating. So, but it is upwards of 94% could show an increase in engagement. I have the website, and I will share that on there in just a moment when we get out of here, Carla. Before we leave the session, I'll throw it in the chat box. All righty. Open-ended question. So what are the benefits of setting meeting expectations prior to the beginning? And this you can set for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, depending on how long. In the interest of time with us, I just listed us for 30 seconds. But this allows your participants to answer in up to 250 characters. So on here then, which is kind of a cool thing, you can click on show the answers, and you can see what your coworkers, your staff, your students, all are answering. And again, this is kind of like that chat box where you can ask someone to share their answers. And now we see all of our people, and we're seeing it on one screen. We've got some color going on. And then we can talk about it. All right, so I see that someone says it can help people stay on task. Why is staying on task important? So then I can build questions off of what my individuals are saying, since it's not realistic to ask every single person their answer. All right, let's move on to the next one. Word cloud. This one only allows you up to 50 characters, I think, to find your answer. Open-ended questions is 250. Word cloud, I think, it might be even 20 characters. So if you are leading a meeting, how would you label your role? All right. So yeah, so we've got 4 folks responding on here, and the music's hilarious. And again, you can mute the music if the music does become problematic. But yeah, so good. So 4 people responded, host collaborators, so then I might say, okay, what does synthesizer mean? Why do you consider yourself a synthesizer if we were going through a session together to learn more from what people's answers were? But again, the difference between open-ended is open-ended gives you up to 250 characters, so you can write something lengthy. Word cloud is going to be like 20 characters. That's just going to be quick words that you can write that respond to the question. Let me get to the chat box here. Let's see. Oh, yours didn't show. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Huh. Alrighty. And let's see, some ways that you can be more relatable to your participants during a virtual session. So this is that open-ended, up to 250 words or characters. So you can write longer than a word cloud. And you can label it as 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. All right, so I've got 15 answers. Let's show our answers here. Okay, so yeah, you can look at the camera instead of the screen to build rapport, smile. If someone has an answer that happens to be inappropriate, you have the ability to hide the answer. So obviously and with these, there's a bit of anonymity to it because sometimes with that anonymity, unlike the whiteboard, unlike the chat box, people might be more open to sharing their ideas if they know their name isn't attached to them. So this is a safe way for them to do that. However, if you get someone in there that's inappropriate, which, you never know, then you can just hide that answer real quick. So again, this is just another tool to get people sharing where they don't have to be worried about the consequences of saying something that might make them embarrassed. And our final question is a word cloud. How many Wallies were roaming throughout today's presentation? Whoops. Oh my gosh. Whoops. I accidentally hit a button that took me to, I meant to hit show and it took us to the end over here. But hold on just a second. So the cool thing about this, we only had one question that had points on that were timed. So I'm going to click out of here and I'm going to do one last thing, which is go back to, let's leave this. I'm going to go back here and ask you if you can go in the chat box and please enter how many Wallies we think we saw because I didn't get the answers over there. Now we probably need to attach your name to it too. So let's see how many Wallies we have. And while you're doing that, I just want to summarize. These are some strategies that we talked about today. That chat box will really get people participating and doing something physical. The agenda and turning the agenda into questions. And if you can, time, because that can keep you more in focus. The whiteboard via Zoom is going to be a good tool for you. Again, it's a good visual depiction of everyone's thoughts. Themes could be fun party events, just another way to bring people together. Games, people love competition and seeing themselves rise. And then Kahoot, using some of those, it might not be all those styles, but between the polls and the open-ended questions, the word clouds, and the quizzes, you have some leverage there to utilize what best works for the environment that you're in. So that is what I have for you today. And I just want to thank ATD and Debbie and Angie. I really, really appreciate it. And for who won the Waldo, there were 25 Waldos throughout. So it looks like Pam is going to be our winner. She is closest with 22. So Pam, you are the new recipient of Focus On. And Debbie, will you be able to help get that book to Pam?
Yes,
okay.
ma'am. We sure will.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Or I'm gonna exit out of here real quick and throw the website I used that showed the 94%. I stopped sharing just for a moment so I can pull up in my favorites. But does anyone have any questions that they would like to verbalize while I'm off of Zoom at the moment? Not off of Zoom, but I'm kind of. Where are my favorites?
I have a question.
Okay.
But I feel bad because it's kind of like, since I teach at Metro also, it's kind of that audience question. So it's not work because I don't have this problem with my full-time job. But how do you all if you have people who like to use technology as an excuse for not participating, my camera doesn't work, I can't get this to work, or my audio is not working today. Any suggestions?
So on my team, we make it a requirement to use the camera regardless. I'll tell them, I don't care if your kids are running in the background or whatever is happening, like we're all in the same spot, right? So it's just a requirement for one. And they tell me it's broken, I'll say, okay, where's your help desk ticket to get it fixed or replaced? So I've removed like every excuse for not using the equipment.
For me, what I do is I don't require, because Metro doesn't require them to have cameras, but I use a lot of the Socratic method. So if I don't see them participating or not involved, I'll either shoot them a private chat message and say, okay, what's going on? I'm not hearing from you. Or I'll say, okay, Nancy, what are your thoughts on this question? So I bring them in as often as I can if I don't have that camera. I also utilize a lot of the hand symbols. So use the thumbs up, use the wave. Nancy, I need a wave from you. So that way I can guarantee that she's there or that he is there. But we can't, for safety reasons, from what I know, we can't do that. But I do use a lot of the emojis or emoticons, and then hearing their voice, they have to be able to respond to me.
Thanks.
My soon-to-be college graduate, he hates having a mom that's a facilitator, because when he was in classes, I'm like, why isn't your camera on? You need to be participating.
Anything else? Or any comments anyone wants to ask of anyone else? Or well, I will respect your time as we were to end at noon today, but I would love to be a resource if anyone has any questions or has any Zoom tips or want to practice a Zoom session, and I'll be happy to help in any way I can. But you guys have been an amazing audience today. I'm going to just check and make sure that no one else said anything that they didn't want to before we go out. Let's see, chat. Where's my chat at? The chat is not pulling up. Oh, I think it's behind something. There we go. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, guys. Well, thank you so much. Good luck in your virtual sessions, and engage away. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a great afternoon.
It was great.
Enjoy your week.
Thank you.
Miss all of your faces and your physical energy.
Oh, thanks so much.
Happy holidays.
You too, Jill.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Get well soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Paula.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck in Employee Learning Week. So that was fun.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, my gosh. You have like amazing amount of energy.
Oh,
That's
I really love
awesome.
doing this. It's so fun. And it's something I believe in. Like, it's like, this is important stuff. But thank you for the opportunity, and hopefully we'll work together again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Paula.
All right,
you have a
take care.
great week. Okay,
You too.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.